A warning tonight from a global hunger monitor. A worst-case scenario of famine is unfolding in Gaza, and immediate action is needed to prevent widespread death. Our correspondent Adam Zivo reports.
International reports suggest that the Gaza Strip is at risk of descending into famine. Yet, mountains of aid remain stuck at the border, rotting in the sun, with both Israel and the United Nations trading blame for why this food is not being delivered. How did this crisis come to be? And what exactly is happening? Well, let's break it down. The most important thing to understand here is that Hamas has a history of diverting humanitarian aid to enrich itself, either through consuming this aid directly or by reselling it to everyday Gazans at inflated prices. This is how Hamas's leaders managed to become billionaires, despite ruling over an impoverished region of just 2 million people. Since the October 7th massacre, Israel has prioritized destroying Hamas as a political and military force. The war in Gaza mostly achieved this goal, albeit at a terrible cost to Palestinian civilians. But Hamas continues to operate despite being severely weakened. The Israeli government fears that, unless aid thefts are stopped, the terror group will survive and eventually resurrect, which is considered an unacceptable security risk. This is why Israel instituted an 11-week blockade of aid to Gaza this spring. However, the humanitarian cost of the blockade proved morally indefensible. So, in May, Israel switched tactics and partnered with the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, a new US-backed aid group, to restart food deliveries. Hundreds of aid distribution points, which had been operated by a constellation of nonprofits, were replaced with just 4 GHF sites. The idea was that centralizing distribution and placing it under the control of a pro-Israeli organization would make it harder for Hamas to steal aid. In practice, though, this system has been ineffective. With only 4 distribution points now operating, Palestinians have had to walk long distances to receive food. The GHF sites are routinely swarmed by starving crowds, where the risk of riots and violence are omnipresent. These risks have been exacerbated by Hamas operatives who reportedly have been tasked with sowing chaos at these sites and discrediting the GHF. Israeli soldiers who provide security here have had to shoot in the direction of these crowds to maintain order, sometimes with fatal results. While Hamas has seemingly exaggerated the deaths caused by these shootings, it is clear that much of this violence is real. On top of that, pro-Hamas actors have launched an information war against the GHF. One viral conspiracy theory, which was viewed on social media at least 27 million times, baselessly claimed that the flour being distributed by GHF is laced with oxycodone pills. Relatedly, some media outlets have been insufficiently critical of some of the claims made by Hamas. For example, The Washington Post, MSNBC, and New York Times have all had to issue corrections or retractions for poorly reported stories that directly or indirectly exaggerated the GHF's failures. Gazans are now starving. The situation is becoming catastrophic. Even the Israeli government has acknowledged this and responded by establishing new aid corridors and instituting humanitarian pauses of its military operations. However, massive stockpiles of food have accumulated at the Gazan border, which the United Nations just refused to deliver. UN officials have claimed that Israel is making it impossible to deliver this aid, citing destroyed infrastructure and a chaotic security environment. But Israeli officials have pushed back and pointed out that UN agencies have a long history of delivering aid in other war zones that are similarly challenging. To some, it appears that the UN may be withholding cooperation to score political points, even if that exacerbates Gazan hunger. On top of all of this, debate is raging over how much aid Hamas actually steals. An internal US government analysis this year found no evidence of systematic theft, but a UN report suggests that only 13% of truck-delivered food aid in Gaza reached its intended destination, with the rest being either peacefully intercepted by hungry crowds or forcefully captured by armed forces. While the report does not specify what proportion of this diverted aid was taken forcefully, it nonetheless suggests that armed theft is not a trivial matter. Meanwhile, Israeli analysis suggested up to 25% of the aid sent to Gaza was stolen by Hamas and either given to militants or resold to civilians. With humanitarian conditions in Gaza deteriorating, a new influx of food is desperately needed. But political infighting has seemingly taken priority over humanitarian interests. It's a sad reality and a poorly understood one. I'm Adam Zivo, reporting for the News 4.